Welcome, fight fans,
to the Fighters Boys Kick-Ass Podcast.
Your Fight Talk Authority.
Not to mention the most entertaining and talked about podcast with your kick-ass host, Richard Ortiz.
You mad? Come at me, bro.
And his loyal kick-ass co-host, Senor Cole Escovedo.
Streaming live and worldwide.
Coming to you all the way live from a little place somewhere in Cali. The Fighters Boys
Kick-Ass Podcast.
Fresno, California, we're live, Mad Production Studios, the fighter's voice, the only voice that matters, Kick-Ass Podcast. If you're not here, you probably got knocked out because the competition does get knocked out. A little tongue twister there. I had some seeds. What can I say? I keep it real every show. Today, we got a great show. We're going to pay tribute to a long-lost warrior. We're going to congratulate to the future of MMA and wrestling. And we're also going to talk to the one, the only Miss Yvette Briscoe, who's going to be talking to you about her MMA background, about being an inspector, about being a timekeeper, about making sure the MMA events take place with CAMO and California State Association. Also, we're going to talk about something real deep, something important, because there's always a fight in every fighter. And that's talking about MS, a cure, going through it, feeling it, and just, you know what, fighting back and smiling every single time, because there is life with it, without it. And when I say without it, it's because we got healed, we beat it, we conquered it, and we knocked it the hell out. And we're also going to go with Cole Escovedo, the UFC veteran, Mr. Cole Escovedo, the Apache Kid himself. He'll be calling in. He'll be Skyping his 2 cents here and there. He's on vacation / working / on assignment. I can go on and on. But enough said. Welcome to the show, Miss Yvette Briscoe, who is 1 minute and 10 seconds late. I just had to throw that in there. No, you were right on time.
Thank you
right
so
on time,
much.
right on time, right on time.
Thank you for having me. I'm very happy to be
You
here.
know what? I'm feeling nervous with you here. I don't know why. Probably because like when I cage announce and I see you there, I'm like, okay, she's critiquing. But that's okay. No, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm
Long awaited.
excited.
Long awaited. And you
yes.
should be. You have a story to tell.
I do. I have a lot going on.
You do. You know, let's jump into the MMA part, because that's how I first met you. I've watched you from sitting in the stands watching big fights. I've watched you backstage and when they're lacing up the gloves, so to speak, the hand wraps, your initials are on there, making sure everything is crossed, the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. And then I've watched you just so zoned out and focused on every match. What got you involved in MMA, and did you ever compete in MMA? And then we're going to talk about the big fight that's going on, the fight that you are winning every day with a smile.
So about 1 million years ago,
Yes.
I wanted
1,000,001.
to wrestle.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
wrestle.
When I was in high school, but back then there were no female wrestlers in the state of California during my freshman year. And
What high school did you go to?
I went to Merced High.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my senior year, there were 2 female wrestlers in the state of California. And it just started, sort of started growing from there. I still wanted to do it, even though there weren't any female wrestlers. And my mom said no. And I'm like, but somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to break the ice. Somebody's got to be the trailblazer. And she said, that's true, but it won't be you.
Oh, wow. How old were you?
I was 15.
15.
15.
Freshman? Sophomore?
Well, I was a sophomore by the time I got involved with the sports.
Okay.
We were called mat maids back then.
Matt, yes, I remember that.
Yes, and so I was a mat maid for our wrestling team, and that's how it all began.
Uh-huh.
And when I graduated from high school and I went to college, I happened upon one of the coaches for the World Cup wrestling team for Greco.
Okay.
And he invited me to come
Now,
out.
Greco,
with the
that's
team.
just upper body, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. It takes a lot of upper body strength, but you're not allowed to grab legs or anything like that. But you have to have the leg strength to, it's part of. You have to have the whole body strength.
Yeah, just to kind of throw them.
Yes, yeah. And so I went out and I met the team and wrestled with them a little bit and really enjoyed it. And they invited me to come back and participate on the local organizing committee for an international tournament that they had every year. And so I did.
Was that like a judge at that time, or just being a part of the
just
association?
Being a part
just being
of,
around it?
Yeah, just being around
You really
it.
wanted it bad. You just wanted to be around it. If you couldn't get on the mat and compete, you just wanted to be around the sport.
Yes. So I got to practice with the guys.
Okay.
I just never competed.
Okay.
Yeah. And so during that time, participating in that tournament, I met some guys who later on went off to become MMA fighters. And so a few names that people may recognize, Dan Henderson, he was one of the ones that came
Wow.
to the tournament every year.
Wow.
Randy Couture, he was
Oh,
another
wow.
that
Yes.
came to the tournament every
Yes.
year. And
Arguably the best to ever take the platform, both wrestling and in MMA, the cage.
Well, I'm a firm believer that the best fighters are wrestlers who turn to MMA,
Yeah.
and so that was kind of how I got my start.
Well, you know what? We're going to welcome somebody on the show who's a co-host of the show, and he's had more than his share of starts. And we're going to Skype his interview. What is it? The co-host with the most, the UFC veteran, Co Escovedo. Whenever you're ready, Co.
Oh man,
You're
can you
kinda
guys hear me?
Twisted right there. Are you in a move? Are you in a leg lock right now? There we
Nah,
go.
dude, I'm chilling on the bed, man.
Those of you that know, that is Co Escovedo, as you know, the UFC veteran, the Apache Kid himself. Co, we got with us Yvette Briscoe, who is an MMA official with Camel, and she's also kicking MS in the ass, my man. And we're going to get more in depth with that and more involved in that. I want your take on that. It kind of looks like you're kind of laying down sideways. KP, do you got him in a
I am.
something like that?
I'm on the bed. I'm trying to figure out this whole. There we go.
There
Okay, is
you
that
go.
better?
Hey, just like fights,
Okay,
man, the
cool.
way they do it, we'll plug in when DC's on there and he's in the middle of eating Popeye's chicken, man. Right? Because he's no longer heavyweight,
Dude.
he's heavyweight now?
Yeah, he's gonna move up to heavyweight, but he's. I don't know, man. He's making weird statements about Stipe, which are 100% true. Like he doesn't think he's ready. He doesn't think he's good enough to be fighting him, and like. I don't know, man. You know my opinions on that whole fight. It's easy to say that stuff when you're fighting a guy that you already knocked the fuck out. It's easy to say that. It's easy to say that. It's just I don't know. I
I don't think we've actually met, so hopefully sometime
Cole,
soon.
this is Yvette Briscoe. I'll introduce you one more time to her, man. She's an MMA official with Camo. She takes care of business. And I'm talking real slow because there's a slight delay whenever we hear from Cole. So it's always good to get Cole's take on everything right here. Cole, before you joined us, Yvette wanted to start a long time ago. As a sophomore in high school in Merced, she wanted to wrestle, but her mom says, hell no, you are not going to be wrestling. So she was highly involved in the sport. She did anything possible just to be involved, whether it was tagging along with her team, cleaning the mat, but she's always had 100%, I don't want to say she had balls, but she had balls to want to compete anyways, period. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, I was watching that earlier. I saw her talking about that. Some of the people that she's gotten to train with by being in wrestling.
Yeah, some of the people, those are big names, Hendo and Couture. So those are huge
Yeah,
names.
exactly. Those are huge names. Those are actually beyond huge names.
Exactly. Those are legendary names. Yvette, I want you to pick up where you left off. So you got to meet them along the way. When did you start off as an official? Is that a big gap, or is there a past period there? Because we went from you were still in the industry as far as the wrestling part.
Right. So there was a little bit of a break where I had a couple of children, and
Okay.
I got married and had a couple of kids, and I was still a fan of the sport, but I wasn't as involved and hands-on with it. And then I missed it a lot, so I decided to jump back in, and I was involved in the tournament again for a little bit. And then a friend of mine, mentioned that he was going to be becoming a fighter, and so I said, okay, let's check this out, and I enjoyed it. And then, so I was just a fan, I was watching UFC fights, and I was watching Strike Force, and stuff like that. And then, I just kind of said, let's do this. I want to get involved. So
Who was your first contact with as far as being official? When you said involved, did you want to become a judge, a referee, or just be involved in it, period?
Yeah, I thought about being a referee and a judge, and that was what I initially contacted them for, and I contacted CSAC. And they said that pretty much everybody has to start at the amateur level, and so I contacted Camo, and they said, that sounds great.
Now, explain to us, what does CAMO stand for? Those are initials, correct?
Yes,
What does it stand
CAMO
for?
is the California Amateur Mixed Martial Arts Organization,
Okay.
and they are the sanctioning body for all of amateur MMA in the state of California. And so anytime you go to an amateur event, you see people walking around in black outfits with a patch on their chest. That's us.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, I just dove right in, and I found a family.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the people that I was working with. I had a good time. I loved meeting the fighters. I loved just interacting with them, providing a little bit of guidance.
How long has it been? I mean, since when you first started to now to today?
I started in 2012.
2012.
Yeah, and
Oh,
so
wow.
it's been a few
Wow,
years.
that's been a little minute.
Yeah.
That's been. I bet you got some stories to tell on things that happened backstage or.
It's an interesting sport. No matter what level you get involved at,
Yeah.
it's an interesting sport. So.
And Cole, you never did amateur, correct? You just went straight to professional.
Correct. Back then, they didn't have camo. Didn't exist until I'd say the last. Correct me, but last 5 years is when camo came around.
So Camel has been around for, I want to say 9 or 10 years, but
Oh God, even longer than They didn't have it back when I was fighting. You went straight into pro, no amateur fights, nothing.
so there are still fighters who do that.
Yeah.
There are still fighters who will start as a pro because they've been training for a long time and they feel like they're ready.
From your experience, do you advise that?
No.
Or no, you don't. Well, why is that? Because there's different opinions on this. I want to know why you don't advise that.
So I think that earlier that was okay. Now not so much because the sport has grown and it continues to grow. And there are a lot of people who come with different experiences and feel like they know what they're doing. But I'm going to tell you, the first time that you're in the cage, for real, competing against somebody who is not your teammate or somebody that hangs out in your gym, and you get hit in the face for the first time, there is nothing, I can't describe that to anybody. They have to be there, they have to experience it, they have to feel it for themselves. And so there are a lot of people who, you see MMA in movies now, you watch UFC, you watch Bellator, you see all of these people being excited about what they do. And if you are a fan and you're watching that, you have a different perception of it than you do if you're a fighter. And so the earlier guys didn't have that, right?
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of MMA scenes in movies and things like that. There wasn't all of the mainstream acceptance that we have now. And so it was that was the way to do it. Now it's different. And so people have a different idea. The reality is not the same as what their perception is.
Yeah.
And so for me, I recommend that they start as an amateur and get a dose of reality. And then if that's still what you want to do, go for it. I don't think
that's where the term came in, reality check, right?
Yeah. I don't think that you have to go, 20 fights before you turn pro. But I do think that you should, stick your toe in the water a little bit
test
as an
the waters.
amateur first.
Yeah. Cole, real quick, Cole, go ahead and interject. What's your take on that? Do you judge the athlete, or do you think it's okay just to go pro, depending on the athlete, or do you advise now that they do have, I want to say like a farm club before you get to the big leagues? What's your take on this?
I mean, I've always been pretty adamant about my stand on amateur fights. Like, I support my friends that are promoters for it, nice guys that want to do it. But I'm old school. My personal opinion is, especially in the Valley, as mainstream as it today, I treat it like she said, that shock that everyone's got to plan till they get for the first time. I totally agree with that, 100%. I think that you should get by to another local teams and having it worked out with the coach sparring day. We used to do smokers to help guys build experience, and I don't know. She knows that some people can go straight to pro.
Cole, what's a smoker?
Smoker is a sparring match.
Smokers.
Smokers are just like Muay Thai fight, Muay Thai sparring, but you wear gear, you wear shin pads, you wear boxing gloves. You're not really trying to kill each other. It's more just to get sparring experience, breaking your whole feeling of fighting somebody that's not from your camp in front of other people that don't know.
Okay.
In that experience that is gathered, I don't know. I think you can gain that experience at a local team gym just as easy, and then decide if you want to. But like I said, the sport's different than when I saw.
Okay.
I don't know. I just had a different opinion on that because, like I said, a broken arm, it costs you the same whether getting paid or not.
Okay.
So.
Well, I know a lot of people said that if they're gonna, put their life at risk, they might as well get paid, and we're gonna have to try to fix that up, KP. A little bit of difficulties on Cole's thing. Cole, just stand by, my man. We're gonna try to fix that connection right there. So,
I just want to interject something.
Please do.
A couple of things, actually.
Okay.
So I respect him and his experience and where he's coming from, but I do want to say that smokers are illegal. And as a person who is
As an official. As a sworn-in official, as a signed document official.
You know, I am required to
There you go.
report any smokers that I happen to come across.
I don't
and
smoke
whether they're-
personally. I don't smoke personally at all.
So you know, I don't advise that.
Yeah.
And you know, if we catch amateurs participating in smokers, we revoke their license.
There was a kid on YouTube, and he was jumping off this wooden log, and he said he was sparring, but he's wearing his whole gear, and that was not a sparring session. He was just going crazy. And I remember his manager or his handler said, "What the blank are you doing? Take this off now. You're hurting the sport. You're scarring the sport. What are you doing?"
Absolutely.
And he videotaped it and put it on YouTube.
And that's silly.
Yeah.
But we have sanctioning bodies for a reason, right?
Yes. In place.
So, and so one of the things that Cole just mentioned was that, you know, if you're going to get your arm broken, you might as well get paid for it.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, but this is you know, the reason that the rules are different with amateurs is for that very reason.
Yeah.
The reason that we are so protective of the amateurs is for that very reason. So in professional MMA, you're allowed to elbow to the head. In amateur MMA, you are not. In professional MMA, you know, you can yell out, but you're like working hard to get your position. But
Yeah.
in amateur MMA, that's a verbal tap. And
Yeah.
so, you know, we have a lot of protections in place to make sure that the fighters are as safe as they can possibly be. It's a combat sport,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there is danger there. It's a combat sport. But we're very cognizant of the level, and so we are as protective of the fighters as we can possibly be.
No, I know you are. I know you are. I've worked with you. I've watched you, and you enjoy doing what you're doing. And what you do is first and foremost is look after the safety of the fighter.
Absolutely.
Missed you at the last show though, on the 209 throwdown beatdown.
I was at another
In
show.
San Francisco. I understand,
Yeah,
but I always
yeah.
go to you with, hey, so how does this or what's going on here or there or so forth. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something. I've done some events with Yvette. She has this beautiful smile on right now, kind of that sexy hair going on. But when she's working, it is all game face. I'll ask her a question, and she'll look at me like, Richard, you're asking me a question that you should have already known. I'm answering the same question that you actually called me and asked me 2 days ago.
Or texted.
Or texted. Yeah, I just want to make sure. You know, I just want to be sure. Now, the last event, I'll share a story with you. I didn't even know. I was thinking, how am I going to call this? Because there was a delay with him coming down. And I was going, what's going on? He had to go back. And it wasn't for a mouthpiece. It was for a piece, but it didn't go in his mouth.
Yes.
During this time, I mean, are you not wearing anything underneath or what? We're 45 seconds into the event. His cup flies out because there's nothing to hold it. Called it. So I think we had to call it a
Disqualification.
yes, malfunction to the equipment malfunction or something. I was thinking, okay, what am I going to call
you
this?
are actually disqualified for an
Yes.
equipment malfunction
Yes.
like that because.
And he was competing, but
Yes.
you
but-
got to have the required equipment
Absolutely.
in the required place.
That's right.
He was looking for some tape afterwards. Really?
Jeez.
No, he was. In the back, he was, man, I didn't have tape. He was apologizing to me. I didn't make the call. But yeah, right when you think you've seen it all. And I'm sure you've got some stories to tell. Before we switch on to the next fight that's taking place, the ongoing fight, I want to ask you, what is the craziest thing you've seen backstage or been a part of when an event starts?
There's so many to choose from. I think one that was interesting was somebody who was wearing contact lenses, and her contact lens popped out. And so she tried to call a timeout so that she could put her lens back in. But there are no timeouts in MMA as far as the fighter calling it,
Yeah.
right? The referee can call a timeout for something. So she lost because you can't call a timeout in MMA.
She just said timeout
She
and
said
started looking
timeout.
on the
Yes,
ground.
yes. She's like, my contact. And he's like, are you saying that you can't continue to fight? And she's like, well, I just need a minute to get my contact. And he said, okay, fight's over. So, yeah, you have to be.
How long ago was that?
Maybe 8 months ago.
Was she
something like
competing
that.
till then? Was she pretty competitive until then?
Yeah, she was doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was holding her own.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's unfortunate.
Yes, it is.
You know, and we make announcements during weigh-ins to make sure that everybody has their equipment, that they know the rules, and then there's the rules meeting
Yeah.
right before the fights where we, again, you know, we go over this and make sure that everybody is as prepared as we can lead
Yeah.
them to be. But, You know, when you step into the cage, it's you, your opponent, and the third man in the cage, and you know what you do from that point on, that's on you.
Or what happens. Hey, Cole, I know you got some crazy stories to tell. Are you still with us, Cole? Okay, yeah, I think he's probably connecting that. Well, we can go ahead and take that off right there, a little delay. We tried something today with a little Skype and try to make it work. Cole's on location, and we still wanted to make it work. Him being a part of the Fighter's Voice Kick-Ass Podcast, where we're kicking everybody in the ass.
I'm going to recommend Zoom next time. It'll work out a little bit better.
Zoom. Did you hear
Yes.
that right there? Zoom. Zoom. We got it. Okay. Well, we'll
Yeah.
recommend it. You never know
Right.
until you try, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We had a little malfunction, but that's okay. So talk to us about, share with us what you're doing. You're an ambassador in what you're doing in the fight with MS, awareness, and you do it with a smile, you do it with pizzazz, and you do it with class, and you do it firm to let you know that, hey, no one's exempt from this happening, but it's not the end of the world. You can continue to fight, and right now you're winning. So talk to us about this.
So in 2014, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, but we know that I had it for a few years before
Right.
that, just based on the symptoms. And initially, it was really hard. You know, you're lying in this hospital bed, and a doctor comes in and says, "We think you have MS," and you know, the first thing that pops into your head is, oh my God, my life is over,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because it's a progressive disease. It can be a debilitating disease, and you know, you don't have any experience with it, and you don't have the level of knowledge that you will at some point get. But when you're just starting and you first hear those words, it's like, you know, your head starts spinning, and it's almost like your life flashes before your eyes, and you're just going, oh my God, what am I going to do, you know? At the time, my daughter was still in the house, and my son had already gone, but my daughter was 16 years old.
Okay.
And I mean, she'd only had her driver's license for a couple of months, and now all of a sudden she's got to drive me around because I've got double vision, and, you know, and I'm experiencing vertigo, and it is a life-altering diagnosis, and it's something that you have to adjust to. It is not something that you're diagnosed and you say, okay, I'm just going to beat this. No,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
an adjustment period.
Yeah.
And then there's depression associated with
Yeah.
it. And the depression that is associated with MS, the rates are higher in MS than almost any other disease. And
Let me ask you this. When did you know that you wanted to come forward with this? When did you know that you were just not going to sit back and just accept it? That you said, you know what, I'm going to fight this thing. And I'm going to let everybody know that I'm fighting this. And I'm going to let everybody know that needs to be aware and that no one is exempt. When did you say, okay, I'm going to be a mouthpiece?
it was a few months after I had been diagnosed,
Yeah.
and you know, part of the process that most people do is you start doing a bunch of research. So you're on
Right.
every website that even remotely mentions
Yes, yes.
MS
Yeah.
to learn about the disease, to learn about living with the disease, to learn about the resources that are available and all of that. And so I did that too. I went down the rabbit hole, and I had the benefit of being raised by a registered nurse. I was a medical assistant when I was 17 years old,
Yeah.
and so I did have some medical background, and I was able to sift through,
Yeah.
you know, the crazy stuff
Yeah.
and just get to the stuff that was real. And so in that search for information and resources, I stumbled on the National MS Society, and I just said, you know, part of it was my first fight back after I had been diagnosed. So
Okay.
the first fight that I ever missed working once I came on board with Camo was because I was in the hospital, and
Yeah.
I was all upset. I had missed this fight. Oh my God, right? And so the very next fight that was on the schedule, we actually had two fights back to back. One was in Madera and the other Fresno, I think it
Yeah.
was. And so I had to have people drive me to the fights, and I let them know. I said, look, I have MS. I am seeing double right now. I don't have any balance right now, so I can't escort fighters into the cage.
How did your family take this? Were they fighting there with you? Did some of them just at all? Were they in shock? Because when I see these fighters go in the cage, and I'll say this, because I'm going to let you finish your story. and I've said this before, they have the luxury of hearing the bell, and then their fight's over. But see, you don't get that right now. You're constantly fighting one long, vicious round. But you know what? You haven't tapped out. You're there.
Yes. So, everybody is different.
Yes.
Everybody's experience with MS is different because it has like a multitude of symptoms, and
Right.
everybody's combination of symptoms is different. And so it's for me now.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not going to quit, right? But I'm in the MMA world, and so I'm around fighters who beat the odds all the time, right?
yes.
And so I get to be a part of that, and I get to marry my passion for MMA with this disease and bring that together. And yes, that's my thing. So in all of my social media, you'll see me in boxing gloves, or you'll see me.
I like that picture, by the way, the one that we advertised. We had that picture. I want to talk about that picture.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you did all right in that picture.
But that's the deal. It really depends on your environment.
Yeah.
And the things that you incorporate into your journey.
Yeah.
And so for me, being in the fight world, it's easy for me to keep fighting. Not that I don't have bad days.
Boom. See, that don't look like someone that's always me, or I have MS, I'm going to tap out. That looks like somebody says, you know what, world, I'm kicking you right back in the ass. And I like that. A good photographer, too, whoever took that picture and put it together.
That's my baby, my daughter.
Oh, that's right. There you go, the skills.
That's in the in the front yard.
There you go. Okay, right on.
So how that part came about is that I just kind of jumped in with the society and being involved, and my second year I was selected to be the ambassador for Walk that year.
Yeah.
And they liked my energy. I was very,
And that's what it's called, Fighting for a Cure?
Fight for a Cure.
Fight for a Cure.
Yeah, my
Okay.
team is called Fight for a Cure, but my program is Fight for a Cure for MS, and
Okay.
that's the one where I go to events,
Yeah.
and I have promoters who I just approach them and say, hey, will you hold this event as
Yeah.
a Fight for a Cure for MS? And a lot of them say yes.
Yeah. I got to get one of those bands again.
I will give you one.
No, remember, I've had it for the longest. Remember, I kept showing it to you?
Yes.
I'd try to sleep at night, and it's glowing. You scratch yourself, and because it glows in the dark. I like that.
Yes,
That was very
because
catchy.
I wanted everybody's attention
That's
on
right.
MS,
That's right.
We're raising
Yeah,
awareness.
that's right.
Yeah, and so so when they saw how involved I had gotten, they're like,
Yeah.
hey, we're getting ready to do this new awareness campaign, and we want to show the diversity of MS, because people have these preconceived notions about who gets MS and what it looks like.
Yeah.
And we want to show them the reality instead. Would you be willing to participate in that? And I'm like, sure. And so they had us go to San Francisco. They flew some people out, photographers and directors and this whole crew, and started taking pictures. And then, of course, they get to use those pictures anywhere they want to. But they wanted us to be real with who we are, and so I took boxing gloves and MMA gloves, and I'm like,
made it
this
happen.
is me. This is who I am. And
Exactly.
so they actually put those pictures up on billboards in Times Square and Rockefeller Center. And when they did that, somebody called me, and they're like, "Hey, did you know your picture's up on Times Square on the billboard?" And
Oh, really?
I'm like, what?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you don't got like footage of that or a picture of that?
I do. I'll send that to you.
Yes.
Yeah, and
We'll post that.
So that's what I told them. I'm like,
Yeah.
can you take a picture and send it to me? And they did. And so I thought, I'm given an opportunity to reach people who are not doing what I'm doing, who are not winning the fight.
Yes.
The people who are allowing everything that comes with this disease to weigh them down, and to not recognize that there are opportunities, no matter what stage of this disease you're in, there are opportunities for you to live better. And a lot of it starts with your mindset and
Is
your
that your
attitude.
serenity?
I have a couple of different things that give me serenity. So yes, MMA is huge for me. So if I'm feeling bad, if I'm having a bad day, if it's one of those days where it's hard for me to get out of bed, I have UFC Fight Pass.
There you go. There you go.
And I watch old fights, and I'll pick a couple of my favorite fighters, and I'll just watch old fights.
Well, you got to make sure you pick Cole Escovedo. We're going to get him on the line right now. You got to look up Cole Escovedo.
I will check him out.
Yes.
Cyborg is a favorite
Oh,
of
yeah.
mine, and
Yeah.
so I'll watch her fights.
Yeah.
The California Kid, which I'm really happy that I was at his comeback fight.
Oh, were you?
I was sitting right there.
Oh, we got
in
to
the
talk more
media
about that. I'm going to call
section.
Cole in 2 minutes. We're going to talk about that because
Yeah.
Cole was actually prophesying things that were going on in that area, and he has an answer on why he came back, and we're going to call him in about 2 minutes. But I want to continue to hear what you got to say.
Well, so Uriah has been just amazing for
Yeah.
me with this. So he has autographed gloves for me to auction off to raise funds and to raise awareness. He has made personal donations to my walk team.
Wow.
He invited me to come and talk to the fighters there during practice to get them on board with what I'm doing. And every time I see him, he just comes and he gives me a hug and he asks me how I'm doing. And the people from Team Alpha Male have, several of them have been the same. I've had a couple of them who started off as amateur fighters, how
Yeah.
I met them, and have gone on to pros. But, they're like, what can we do? They've made donations every year. Some of them
That's
have
great.
joined my walk team. And, there's something about the spirit that fighters have. Right. It's not just what they do in the cage. It's the kind of person that they are outside of the cage that defines them as far as I'm concerned. Because when you have met the best of the best, right? I don't go fangirl over any well, I take that back. There are two fighters that I go fangirl over. So Cyborg is one,
Okay.
right? I would love to meet her.
Yeah.
And then Hoist Gracie is the
That's
other.
right. Exactly. You
Yeah.
didn't meet him that day that I saw you at the Bellator?
I did.
Well, there you are.
I did. I took pictures with him. I don't post the pictures because, as an official, I generally try not to do that. Other people post pictures of me with fighters, and they'll post it on my
I was
social
wondering why you
media,
don't do
but
that. And you know what? I thought about that too, but I was thinking about, well, it's not a selfie. It's promotion. It's promotion. And I look at it that way because I got to promote.
Right, and so when it's something specifically for MS, I
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So if I'm talking about, like, I've taken pictures with Uriah,
Yeah.
right after he signed gloves or whatever, and those I will post.
Yeah.
But if it's just me and a fighter and I'm meeting them or hanging
Yeah,
out with them or
yeah.
whatever, I don't. Even if I do take a selfie or whatever,
Yeah.
those I don't post.
I'm going to talk about your list right now. I'm going to try to get Cole on the phone right now. We're going to hear something ring right now. We're hooked up, right? Should be ringing. Should be picking up right here. I don't know.
Gotta love technology.
Well, he's coming through the voice, but he's not coming through the hookup here on the mic. Let's see. Cole, what's happening, man? Yeah, it's not coming through. We're going to try again. I'll just keep talking while he messes with that. So talk to me about your list that you have of fighters that you met through doing what you're doing.
Gosh, I just meet so many.
You there, Cole?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Interact whenever you want. I'm asking her about her list of fighters that she's met through the years and those that have helped out with MS. I don't know if you've been following the show so far.
No, I got disconnected.
Okay, that's what beer and pizza do to you. But anyways, we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and finish up right now. She's going over a list of fighters that she's met, and she's fighting MS as you know, and she's kicking MS in the ass.
Nice.
Yes, and if MS is a guy, she's kicking it in the balls. So either or, she's winning.
So, I've just, it's hard for me to name all of the fighters, but what typically happens is I'll see them someplace and I just say, hey, I'm doing this thing to raise money and raise awareness for MS. Will you participate? So, or I have friends in the industry who connect with these fighters. So like Nick and Nate Diaz have agreed to autograph some gloves for me.
Really?
And we're going to auction those off and we'll just take pictures. And then, I've got Brian Ortega who's autographed gloves for me.
Oh, right on.
Boxing and MMA.
Right on.
And we'll auction those off to raise money as well.
Yeah.
And so, it's one of those things where knowing that you have such an amazing support system, there are people who don't.
Yeah.
When I was first diagnosed, it was the first few months of being diagnosed, and there was a woman, and this sort of reinforced for me that I need to be a little bit more vocal, and I need to be putting more effort into raising awareness. She was in our online support group,
Yeah.
and she was contemplating suicide.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And, you know, I don't practice therapy anymore, but I have a master's degree in psychology, and so I couldn't say anything to her because, you know, that's operating outside my scope. And so, you know, I just read what she had said, and her problem was that she has MS. She's diagnosed by
Yeah.
a neurologist, and her son-in-law has convinced her daughter that she doesn't have MS, that the reason that she has slurred speech sometimes, or the reason that she has mobility issues, is just because she's drunk. Right? Even though she didn't
Yeah.
drink,
Yeah.
right? She's on all these medications. She's not drinking alcohol. But they're saying that because of ignorance. And so
That's nonsense.
the daughter was pregnant.
Yeah.
And they told her that she was never going to touch her grandchild, her first grandchild. And I thought, my God, there is no reason in the world for that kind of ignorance to exist.
That is non-support of ignorance.
At all. And so I thought, you know,
Wow.
my job then
Yeah.
is to make sure that everybody who comes into contact with me
Yeah.
knows a little something about this disease
And knows that you're winning.
and knows that I'm winning, which is why I always have a smile, even when it's a bad day.
Exactly. No, you always have a smile. I mean,
Yeah.
Cole, you caught some of this. What's your whole take on this, being a fighter? And we talked about a fighter spirit. And I've always thought to myself, iron sharpens iron, to surround yourself around positive energy. What's your whole take on this?
I agree with that. You have to. If you surround yourself with negative and people who aren't being supportive of the positive outcome, you're not going to have a positive outcome. You're just going to be complacent enough for a negative outcome, and you're kind of already losing at that point.
So you make it a point to surround yourself. And I know in this industry, it's not always positive in the MMA world. And I'm talking about in any world, period. You have your negatives. How do you filter them out to say, okay, I got to do what I got to do, take care of the business part, and then I just got to filter you out to stay positive?
Honestly, in all the years that
Because
I've been
you
doing
feel
this,
people. Who feels you?
you know, they do. They do.
Okay.
I can honestly say that there is only one fighter that I have ever met in the course of doing this business that I just don't like. Honestly. All the other fighters, you know, like I might be cheering.
Can you tell us what weight class? Pro or am?
He's a pro now.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I can take something from every experience with
Yeah.
people, but I can also walk away.
Yeah.
And so I don't allow them to bring the negativity to me.
Yeah.
Right? I just cut that stuff off.
Yeah.
I really do. And anybody who has been has tried to bring negativity into my life, I just cut them out.
Cut them
I
out.
walk away and I'm done. And so the fighters, you know, what keeps me going is when you have a fighter who comes in and they're new and they're making their debut, right? And I get to give them a couple of words of advice. Or when one of my babies, because you know, a lot of the fighters call me their MMA mom.
Yeah.
And so when one of my babies is going from amateur to pro, and I get to say to them, you know, these are my expectations for you when you turn pro.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want you to change who you are, right? This person that you've been all this time as an amateur, don't go getting a big head just because you go 5-0 as a pro, right? Because I'll put you over my knee, right?
Yeah.
And so having those conversations with them and just being able to guide them, the whole person.
Well,
right?
knowing that you're making a difference. No matter
Absolutely.
what's going on in your life, you're making a difference. And your platform is being who you are. Your platform is, even though you have this disease that you're wiping out, that you're getting through it, you're still making a point to these people, and you're giving them a positive influence, and they look to you as that. They don't look at you like, oh, poor Herb. No, they just look to you because they're out of respect in the fact that you're standing firm in your fight.
I don't ever want anyone to feel sorry for me. You know, yes, it is a fight.
I don't feel sorry for you.
I'm
Even when you yell,
glad.
even when you yell at me, even when you freaking yell at me.
I do
remember one
not
time
yell.
I said, what was the call? And you go, come over here. I mean, because the DJ was playing, I couldn't hear, and I wanted to make sure I got it right. So I said, okay, enough said. I'm not going to argue or anything.
And you know, it's very rare for me to raise my voice.
Well, when there's flash photography, you don't like that.
I don't raise my voice then either. I just tell you to announce.
Yeah, you said I told you for the third time, and I'm trying to. And then Jeremy's giving me information here. There's other promoters giving me information, and I'm like, look, man, just keep calm.
Okay, listen to me first.
Okay, I will.
And
yes.
then everybody
There-
else after
okay,
that.
there you go. There you go. There you go. I do want to say one thing, and I want Cole's take on this. I want to bring out something that's very positive. I mean, this guy, And I admire the relationship, father and son relationship. Whenever I have him on the show, and he's not ashamed to start crying on the show or wherever you talk, and I'm talking about Jeremy Luchau, and I'm talking about his son who went beyond, who continued. There he goes right there.
Chase.
Now that is, yes, Chase, right?
Jace.
Jace.
Jay.
Oh, okay, Jace. I'm sorry. Jace Luchau. I mean, other than him looking just like his dad, I mean, the kid is a winner. He is a
very
winner
proud
and
of
beat
him.
the odds. Didn't let whatever happened between mom and dad separate his love that and his passion and his gifts that he has for the sport.
Well, you know, obviously he's going to be near and dear to my heart because he's a wrestler.
Yes.
And then Jeremy's show was the very first show I ever worked. When I came on board Camo, the very first show that I ever worked was a 559 Fights show.
Yeah.
And so he gave me my start, really, in this industry. And, you know, that's the thing about being involved in the sport. And again, you know, he's a wrestler. Wrestling is what, if it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't be involved in MMA.
Okay.
And there's just a spirit involved in it. Like there's this never give up kind of spirit, you know? And I've been fortunate. I've had conversations with fighters when they've just lost and they're feeling down. And I'll go in and I'll have a conversation with them. And I've had fighters come back and say, you know, I was thinking about quitting fighting, but after you came and talked to me, I knew that I couldn't. I knew that there's something for me here, and I'm going to keep going. And if I can do that, if I can do that with the fighters, if I can do that with people who are living with MS and help them to live a little bit better, I've done my job. I've done what I'm supposed to do. That's my mission. That's my core calling.
Exactly. I hear you. In watching that and hearing that about Jeremy's son, how can you help but not smile? And I'm going to get Cole's take on this because Cole's always talked highly of Jeremy's son in the relationship that they have. I mean, Stevie Wonder can see that bond that they have together.
Absolutely.
Hey, Cole, when you realized that he won, because Jeremy was posting, day by day, fight by fight. What was your whole feeling, your mixed reaction with all that?
But it was like watching a giddy schoolgirl, to be honest. Jeremy's just really passionate, really supportive for Jace, and he's always been that way. And Jace is just listening to the guidance and listening to what Jeremy's plans are, and he's seen what Jeremy has done with guys like Alex Perez and stuff. And so he's, over time, he's trusted that what Jeremy says is the correct path, the correct decision as far as his future for his sport. And it's going to be even better to have that national title when he comes over to Fresno State after, because this is his senior year for high school, I think.
Yeah.
And so he's going to have a national title that he's going to be bringing back. And I think that's going to be really good for his resume when he comes to Fresno State's roster next year.
You know, Jeremy posted something of his son was doing like some little dance around, all right? My gosh, when he hit that corner, that looked like freaking Jeremy. Completely looked just like his dad. Haircut, everything, had that little twist to him, just identical. And when I saw it, I mean, I can't help but feel good, you know? And I know that love. I know that father for a son love. I do. And I'll touch on that because you talk about your fight. See, I've said it before. You don't need to put gloves on and put a mouthpiece in your mouth to be on the Fighter's Voice or to be a fighter. And you are a true example of a fighter, of a participant of the Fighter's Voice Award, which we're going to be giving out at the end of the year. And that's somebody that's, whether they're in a cage or outside of a cage or just fighting with something with life. I mean, there's a lot of people that really do deserve that, but you're continuing to fight day in, day out. We talked about never hearing a bell. What motivates you? Where do you get the strength from? Of course, you said UFC Fight Pass, but on the real, besides your kids, who pushes you? Where do you get that faith from? What voice do you hear that says, okay, get out of bed. Let's finish the day. Let's get through the day.
So there are a number of voices that I respond to. So first there's God.
Yes, amen.
You know, and if I wasn't somebody who could just reach out and say, God, I'm having a tough time today, help me, right? And then I have people in my life. My mom, obviously, is a huge supporter. She's always checking on me, and she's always been there for me. And then I just have really genuine friends in my life who will pop in. And you know, I've had times when I've needed to cry. You know, they know that it's just for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm getting too old to party all night, so my pity parties are cut short.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
So only two wine bottles?
Well, for the pity part, it's the first bottle. The second bottle is just for fun. So.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
No, but I really appreciate the people in my life, and
Good.
some of those people really are MMA people.
Okay.
The inspector, the lead inspector that I work with the most, Jarek Williams.
Yeah.
If I'm having a bad day, I can call him and say that I'm having a bad day.
Yeah.
And he makes sure that I'm taken care of when I'm at events.
That's good.
You know, Jeremy is one of the people too. And what was awesome is, you know, he told me the other day that he likes the fact that I don't complain. Like he knows, because he's been around me for so long, when I'm having a bad day. If I get really quiet at a fight, you know, if I'm not moving around too much at a fight, I'm probably in pain or I'm fatigued or something. But the fact that I still give everything that I've got to his fighters, he noticed, right?
Yeah.
And so things like that, where people show appreciation for the things that I do, that kind of bolsters me as well. And then, you know, just being able to be on track for my mission to help other people.
I watch you. I do, because I'm aware of what's going on. And I watch, when you're there, I watch you. And I'm thinking, okay, oh, she got this. I do. I mean, I don't call and say, hey, how you doing? How's your day? Because I don't know you personally that way, but you shared with me
You
before.
actually have sent me text messages to ask me how I'm doing.
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I have, because I've read you at different times, and I just want to make sure everything's okay. And, you know, hey, you got to look out for one another.
You do.
You do. At this time right here, I've never done this on the show before, but I got to do this. I'm a huge boxing fan as well as MMA fan, and the boxing world, we lost one of our ambassadors, one of our pound for pound best fighters ever to step inside the ring. We're talking about, when you see this fighter, you see some Floyd Mayweather. You see some Sugar Ray Robinson in him. The tenacity, the bravery. You see some Maldrick Taylor in him. You see some Holyfield in him. And he was an Olympic gold medalist, I believe, in 1984, which is one of the biggest and most humongous groups of gold medalist winners. And that's pronounced Sweet Pea Whitaker. And I've never done this. Do we have a bell? Do we have a 10-count bell? We don't. But okay, then we'll just go 10 seconds, okay? Because I want to give tribute to that. I'm even going to take my hat off, because I mean, personally, man, I mean that's a loss. I looked up to this guy.
A car accident.
Yes,
That's what
into
was
something that
terrible.
was out of his control. So at this time, we're going to take 10 seconds and give our respects to Pernell Whitaker. All right. Pernell Whitaker's going to be greatly missed, and he's going to leave us with a human highlight film, and he's going to continue to influence fighters across the world.
Absolutely.
So what I do want to talk about, I want to talk about the future of boxing, and I got to give a shout out to the Harrell brothers right here. This hat right here doesn't just stand for a hat. It stands for a gym. It stands for tenacity. It stands for the future. It stands for promise. Both brothers are national champions. His father is a gym owner. There you go. Oh, that's an awesome logo right there. His father is a gym owner. He's a giver. And when I say he's a taker as far as I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to run with it. Doesn't ask for $1. He doesn't have ring around the collar. And when he knocks somebody out, yeah, he makes them holler. No, I just had to go there with that. That's for Cole Escovedo, because Cole likes the way I do that sometimes.
You gotta love it when you rhyme, man.
But he's going to be fighting in Fresno, California, October 11th, and he is going to be the main event of the evening. His brother, the brother Harrell brothers, Jesus Harrell is going to be the main event, and his younger brother is going to be the co-feature, I believe, on the card as well. But we're going to bring him on the show. We're going to talk about not just boxing. We're going to talk about what's inside him. What color does he like? Does he like to ride a bike? What does he do besides boxing? I want to showcase him and just let him know that, hey, this is a platform for the future of boxing. Whenever you see a youth doing something well, just like Jeremy's son, this is what the platform is here for. It's just not for, hey, let's talk nonsense. Let's go back and forth. Let's cuss. Let's make people laugh. It's talking about real fights like you. It's talking about real opportunities like Jesus Harrell. And it's talking about him and his adventure, and when he turns pro, because he is going through the amateur circuit, and we're going to be here and we're going to be supportive of him. So I just had to give him that plug right there. And I don't wear many hats. I don't. But I've been privileged and honored to be given this hat, and I am going to rock it. And I will be rocking it in Las Vegas when we go cover Manny Pacquiao right here, Wild Card Gym right here, all day long. And if you haven't caught the interview, go to The Fighter's Voice. Go to youtube.com/The Fighter's Voice, and you're going to see an interview one-on-one. We went one-on-one with the Senator of the Philippines. I didn't realize how big that was. I have to share this with you. And it wasn't until on the way home, 2 days after when we were driving, that it finally hit home. And I was like, my gosh. But Cole will tell you, when we were here, I just knew we were going to get that interview. We were not going to go down there and just say, oh, there he is, and take a picture. I just knew we would. Not sound arrogant or anything, but we met some good people, and I want to give a big thank you to Sean Gibbons, his matchmaker, promoter, Mike Rodriguez, who's working the corner, Marie from Wild Card Gym, and, of course, the legend Freddie Roach from Wild Card. It's good to know them and have them on your Rolodex. It really is. And to appreciate it and respect it. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I mean, and because you got some people in this world, they have the, in Spanish, you'll say they have the vergüenza to say, hey, can I have Freddie's cell number? I mean, and no, we don't roll like that. We really don't. But it just taught to be a professional. And watching them work, Yvette, it was awesome because Marie had to be the gatekeeper. She had to say, okay, one more time, and the door's right there. And we're talking about press. We're talking about everybody there. And watching Sean to make sure Manny was very well protected and act like a professional. And I want to share a quick story. We're going backstage. We're not backstage, but in the VIP area. And you got ABC, you got Fox Sports. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to ask him? Because I thought I asked him the stronger questions off camera. I'm thinking, well, what do I got left? So as I started thinking, all of a sudden Sean goes, okay, Richard, you're up. That was the best thing to ever happen because there's no time to think. It was just, boom, now you're in the race. Let's go. It's like playing third base in baseball. It's all reaction time. So I just had to share that. It was
That's nice.
It went from like, okay, I am who I say I am. Let's go do this. Okay, you just go in there. When they throw you in there, boom. No time to warm up, no nothing. Yes. Let's go put them up. Are you who you say you are? Now It's time to shine.
I tell people that all the time because when I'm at society events, they'll call me up to speak. And sometimes I know ahead of time that I'm going to, and sometimes I don't, but I still don't prepare anything because I feel like exactly what you're saying, you can be more authentic.
Exactly. Speak from the heart.
If you speak from the heart.
Speak from the heart. Yes. Especially about speaking from the heart. Cole, what's going on in the MMA world this weekend, my man, or coming up?
Well, it's been a little slow. I mean, we did have the UFC last week, not too far away, but the most recent news that's coming out right now is some of the pay that's coming down off that Sacramento Fight Night card that they had. Faber pulled in $390,000 for his win.
Wow.
Now, bear in mind, this includes a $50,000 fight of the night bonus, but that still means that Faber pulled $340,000 for 15 seconds of work.
That means they will be back to SmackDown.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But he gets $340,000. I just really would have realized that he still had multiple fights left on the contract when he retired. So he didn't have to go back to square one. So I saw a lot of people were like, how did he get $340,000? That's not fair, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people were confused about why he made so much. All they did was they picked up his existing contract and said, look, you're back on this fight scale and this is what you'll pay. And plus, he's a main draw for Sacramento. So they probably said, we'll pay you whatever you want. Outside of that, Bellator news, Bellator announced that they're going to have a Grand Prix, I believe, for the featherweight guys. And they're going to have Pit Bulls actually going to be in that featherweight little tournament that they're going to have. So they're still going heavy with the tournament style format, which I like. I like when they have tournaments. I prefer the old school, done in a weekend type stuff. But people get hurt, so. Yeah. And then other than that, Dana White was asking about the Conor Masvidal fight that's been coming up on topic lately. People have been saying, "Oh, dude, we'd love to see that fight."
What's your take on that? I was going to ask you about that. What's your take on that?
I honestly think it would be a good fight. I know Masvidal.
Who do you got on that? Who do you got on that?
I'd pick Jorge on that one.
Bro, serious. I'm going to get you. What size shirt you wear? I'm just going to get your shirt that says, I hate Conor McGregor.
Okay, Cole. I like you even better now.
Oh, my gosh.
Conor's great, but I think he was just maybe not as good as everybody thought he was. He just had a good run real fast. And I think
Okay. Let me stop you there. Look who he lost to. Okay? Nate Diaz. And come on. Pound for pound, probably the best right now. My man. I mean, come on.
But it's the ways he's losing that that are questionable.
They're showing holes in his game.
Yeah, he got owned by Khabib. And he should have done better against Khabib than he did. And he just kind of got owned. So it just, I don't know. He might have too much mentally going on. Maybe he's just not in it anymore. The fire could die out real fast once you start counting those Benjamins. That you get less hungry. Trust me. But that I don't think Jorge would have a problem with that. I think Jorge's. You got to remember, dude. Jorge was bare knuckle fighting before bare knuckle fighting was even a thing. So there's some old school videos of backyard fights with Kimbo Slice and stuff where that dude was just fighting dudes way bigger than him in street brawls, bare knuckle, and just dropping dudes. So I don't think Jorge would have a hard time putting away Conor. I think Conor's dangerous, but I think Jorge's just on a different level of dangerous. He's gangster street ghetto dangerous. No, he is, dude. He don't care. He'll come in there and just smack you up. And like the whole thing he said in his post-fight interview that if he saw Askren at a Whole Foods store or something, he'd smack the shit out of him. And that's true. I think if Jorge saw Ben Askren somewhere in the street, he'd talk crap and walk up and try to smack him because he just doesn't like the guy. So, I mean, he basically qualifies for the 209 team, and he just doesn't live
for sure.
That's the only thing. So.
I like that. I like that. The 209 team. I like that.
Yeah, he's just gangster. He just doesn't care. He's a true – when you think of cage fighter, the first name that comes to mind are guys like Donald Cerrone, Jorge Masvidal, Clay Guida. They're just beasts. They
got that different DNA, man.
Yeah, there's just something around. They were born in the wrong century, man.
That pedigree. Yeah, exactly. What's your take on that, Yvette, hearing that?
I would go with Masvidal also. I think that Cole is right on. I have never had very much respect for Conor.
Why? I just want to know why.
Because I don't just look at a fighter's skills. I look at their personality and who they are as a person. And I didn't like some of the things that he did because I felt like he was disrespectful to the sport. Right, and so respect is a huge thing.
You don't see it. You don't see it as a showmanship.
I think that you can be a showman or showwoman without crossing the line to disrespect.
Okay. Where did he cross the line? I'm just curious.
I didn't like when he grabbed Jose Aldo's
belt
off the table. I think that's a disrespect that you just don't do. You can talk as much crap as you want to, and I'm not a big person on that either, but it's for the entertainment part of it, and I get that, and that's fine. Chael Sonnen, he cracks me up, right? He's one of the people that I can listen to his crap talking all day long. But there are some things that you don't do if you actually respect the sport, even if you want to be a show person, and he crossed the line. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted your take on that. That's all fair game. I still Conor's on my bucket list. I want to sit down and go tit for tat with him on the mic.
I really don't.
No, I would love to. I would love to. So Cole, what else besides that brewing, man? I cut you off on that because I had to talk about that event because since you brought that up, I wanted your take on that. What else we got going?
Not really much. It's been a quiet week in MMA. No real announcements. I think he made an announcement that he's going to move up from welterweight to middleweight. I think that was probably about the only real big MMA news. Other than that, I mean, it's just UFC's Contender Series. Dana White talking about how he doesn't think. In fact, I think Dana White's quotes were, "Hell no, the Masvidal Conor fight would never happen." So. There's that. I mean, Khabib's manager's trying to say that Floyd Mayweather's out of money and looking for a fight. I find that really fucking hard to believe. That's laughable. Just the fact that Khabib and their camp are they're still hunting a fight with Mayweather, and at this point, that fight makes 0 sense. I mean, literally, absolute 0 sense. There's no reason for it. He's just copying. He's copying people at this point as far as trying to get those kind of things.
Well, then what else we got coming up? We got Combate, right? August 2nd, Fresno, California.
Coming up August 2nd. Zoila Frausto's headlining
Zoila
that
Frausto.
card. They have been adding to the undercard, so expect, if you're in the Central Valley area, expect to see some local guys on that card. That's for sure.
Well, okay. Let me let you know this, Cole. Not this Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. Okay, next Wednesday we have Al Gonzalez on the show. Next Tuesday we're going to be on location. We're going to be in Selma, California. Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy in Selma, California. Carol the Cut Woman is going to be there on set. You're more than welcome, as you know, Cole, because I know Tuesdays you're doing the co-train thing, and that's all good to go. Wednesday we got Albert Gonzalez coming in studio. The next Tuesday or Wednesday we got Tito Ortiz calling in and talking about his arrival in Fresno, California. Now, when Mike Aframowitz comes in, When Mike Fromowitz comes in, there's a 50-50 chance that he's not going to come in alone. So I just want to throw that out there and let you know. We're more than welcoming Tito Ortiz here on set in the studio on The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. We're simply knocking out the competition, as you know, Coltrane.
You know, I'll have to shoot Fromowitz a text and say, hey, if you're going to have Tito in town for the fights, man, you should bring him in.
No, he is in town on the fights. I talked to his PR person. They're going to do a phone call interview in a week and a half, and Fromowitz is pretty strong. He's going to be coming in with him when he comes in on Wednesday.
Good. That'd be good. I'd love to have Tito on.
Yeah. And you got to get...
It's actually going to be different because he was talking about why somebody was interviewing him the other day talking about why he's no longer with the Golden Boy Promotions and what happened with that organization and stuff. So we obviously can now see what happened to that organization that we were talking about before, that Oscar just wasn't going to last long in the MMA business. And I think that one big splash was just him trying to make a point that anybody can do it if you have enough money. And then he realized, there's way too much fucking money to be lost in this.
Yes, there
I
is.
have no interest in doing it. Because every organization for a while just loses money. They don't make money. It's not until you get to the TV deals and an established following and stuff that you actually start to make a profit. Golden Boy Promotions was never going to get there. And they realized it. They cut Tito loose, or even different. Combate might have just bought out his existing contract, because we now know that Combate is actually going to use Tito on their cards. Like, they're going to use him to fight against, is it Alberto Del Rio?
Yeah,
That's who he's fighting. Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't know. They look at that picture and they just see some tall, model-looking guy that's going to fight.
That pulls him.
Yeah. What a lot of people don't know is that he's actually fought. Alberto's fought a long MMA career in both Lucha Libre, MMA. He fought in Pride. He fought Crow Cop in Pride and got his wig just split the hell open while he was wearing a luchador mask. For some reason, Crow Cop didn't like it. That's like the most famous thing I can remember. He just split his face open. He was bleeding through the mask. But the guy has a seasoned experience of fighting who's who. So for them to bring him in against Tito Ortiz is actually a really good move. I mean, I know they got to spend the money wisely and they got to make the fight plan right.
45 seconds.
But I think it's good.
Tito Ortiz beats him in 45 seconds.
Think so, huh?
All right, 44.
No. I think we get at least 3 rounds out of it, and it goes.
No, come on, no. That guy's no.
Want to make a bet? I got $5 that says
I'm a Tito Ortiz fan, man, and maybe I'm just getting caught up in the fan right now.
But here's why. I don't think it's because Tito can't finish the guy. I think that it's because Combate has spent too much goddamn money on having Tito on their roster that they have got to squeeze as much TV time as possible out of that match.
I agree. There's a lot of money to be made by both men, and they're doing so. It's marketing, and I do see it going 3 rounds. I do see it going 3 rounds, honestly, because they're not going to put this big event to take place. I believe it's in Reno. I'm not even supposed to say the site. That's just from the resources. It's good to know people that know people that know people that drink with people. So other than that, that's what we're hearing. So I do believe it is going to go the distance. There you go, right there. What do you think, Yvette?
At least 2 rounds.
Yvette, what do you think about this? Do you think it's going the distance? 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 1 round?
God, when money's involved.
Okay. Enough said. Cole, you know that, right? When money's involved. ...
I love doing the ellipses. I think that's an ellipses there.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay. Cole, what's your take on that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that last part.
When money's involved, decisions are made a little bit differently.
Agreed. And it's not so much that when money is to be made, it's that when there's that much money to be lost, that you're always going to see questionable things. So when you have that much money that's up for grabs, the numbers start to really dictate the way the fight's going to go. That doesn't mean that they're not going to go for broke, but I think both guys are going to be told, hey, give us as much fight time as possible.
Exactly.
And Tito knows the business. He knows how to make a fight drag on. And Alberto, I mean, he's been in the luchador scene. He knows how
he's an entertainer. He's an athlete too.
Right there. They're both entertainers, and they know exactly what it takes to be entertaining and put fights on TV. That is the key point right there.
And they're both not 28 years old anymore. So let's say that. Right?
There is that.
Really good shape.
Yes. So, Yvette, are you going to that event, August 2nd, Samar Center? Zoila Frosto.
I am not sure, just because I have to look at what our amateur schedule looks like and whether or not I'm even going to be in town, because I'm pretty sure we have a show on the 3rd.
Oh, okay.
In NorCal. So.
What about you, Cole? You're there, right? August 2nd.
2nd?
Yes.
Fresno?
Yes.
That's a Saturday, right? That's a
No,
Friday.
that's a Friday.
Friday.
That's a Friday. We got to have the dream team there, man.
Yeah, we're going to be doing live coverage like we did last time, right?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, we're going to do it.
Most likely right now should not have a problem doing that, especially if we're going to be on site doing play-by-play.
Awesome. That week is going to be awesome because August 2nd, Save Center, Combate, MMA. And then August 3rd, the 209 Stockton, California, the return of the beast. That's a self-promoter right there, my man. August 3rd, Toscano Promotions. If you're not there, you just better be there, period. There is no ifs, there is no buts. It's when your arrival is going to be there. You also have the babyface assassin, Jesus from Madera. He's about to let it loose and make it happen, my man. And he is going to be rocking the fighter's voice on his robe and on his shorts and on that victory when he raises his hand. So, yeah, we kick down a little bit, along with Alex Diaz, who's not talking to me right now, a little upset. You know, friends get mad at each other.
Sure.
And especially when there's numbers involved. My gosh, really? Hey, Alex, what's up? It's still macho time, okay?
Oh, look out.
Yes, it's still macho time. Hector Macho Camacho, he was in town. He came walking in, and he was yelling macho time. I mean, quite an entertainer and quite an ambassador in the sport because he knows the sport. I talk to a lot of fighters. They really don't watch fights. They don't give you really their perspective, but he'll give you a legitimate professional breakdown where I'm thinking, you're wasting your time. Just come over here and put the headset on and grab a mic and get a job with Fox or PVC or any of the big wigs. Listen, Yvette, I can go on and on, but I don't want to get away from the real fight you're going through, and I want to know, how do we contribute? How do we follow? What do we need to do? This is your platform right now.
So people can follow me on social media because I'm always posting there the things that I have going on. One of the things that I have also done is I decided that I really wanted to help people live better with the disease. So
Social media, what is that social media? So we can know to follow.
So you can find me at Yvette R. Briscoe or Yvette Briscoe.
Okay.
So depending on which platform.
Okay.
Twitter, I'm Yvette Briscoe. Facebook, it's Yvette R. Briscoe. Instagram, Yvette R. Briscoe. And my secondary Instagram is MMA Psych Girl. And that's for psychology, not psycho, just so people know.
Okay. I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah. And then, I went back and got certified as a health coach. So I'm starting to,
there you
do
go.
a few things with that as well. And so, and actually, I'm going to have a couple of things for your viewers, and I will give you the links and codes and stuff for that, and you can just post it on the page.
Good,
so,
we will. We sure will. We sure will. Anytime we can help out, and we got to get some of those braces from you, those bracelets. And if there's anything that we know ahead of time, and KP, we can go on site, right? We can make this happen. There you go, right there. If we know ahead of time, let's make it happen. I don't want to just be a talker. I want to be, and it's not about us just saying, okay, well, the fighter's voice is there. They're going to subscribe and all. It's about really giving back because this is what this platform is for. And I've argued with people left and right that said, oh, well, I don't have time for a fight show. I said, is that what you see? I said, so you never fight when you're trying to start your car and it don't start? Now you're trying to fight with something there. You're competing with something. So you never ever had a fight for maybe a raise at your job or unfortunately to save your marriage or to survival, to get over your sore throat or whatever it is. Every fighter has a voice, and so do you.
That's right.
You do not have to hear that cage door slam or say, I gave you your instructions in the dressing room. Let's get it on. You don't got to hear that stuff. Because there is a fight in all of us. And this is exactly what this platform is for. And you know my story. I am the original fighter's voice. Or I could have just said, hey, it's a wrap and tap out and jump off a cliff. Because I'll keep it real. If you people say they never thought about that, they're not keeping it. And it was there. But we found something. We found a serenity. And we noticed this. And I will say this. Cole, remember when we talked about, and I also want to congratulate her. Gosh dang it, that little fire plug we got. Jenna. Okay, remember we talked about it, and I said, look, you got a future in acting. You got to be, there's something, because you're producing, you're doing your own little, bro, she just got like this little job thing on Broadway. I think she's performing at the Tower or Sororient Theater or something, and she tagged me on this.
Cool.
Bro, everybody that comes on this show, you either become the heavyweight champion of the world, you either go into the Hall of Fame, or you get promoted from ESPN from Top Rank Boxing to ESPN. And that's Christina Potcher, that's Lee Samuels, and that's, of course, Andy Reese Jr., all on the fighter's voice. And what's my dude's name? Enoch, right?
Enoch Mitchell.
Yes. Came on here getting ready to fight for the bout. The rest is history. And now your funds are going to increase. You're going to get the platform that you need, but just keep smiling, my man. Even Jeremy, when he came on here, I mean, this show is blessed. It really is, man. It is.
It's
it
the big
is.
thing.
I'll say why it's blessed too. So, anything you got to say to all the viewers, the fans, the followers that want to support you and be a part of this?
Yeah, I would just say that if you are not familiar with the disease, learn something.
Yeah.
Because, it's disheartening when people don't know. I get a lot of, but you look so good. Like, they're shocked that I have a disease. And, you see me on my good days, not so much on my bad days, although I might start posting a few pictures of those. And just learn something about the disease, because I guarantee you there is somebody in your life who has it. And if you can be supportive and knowledgeable about it, that would be amazing. Just last year they came out, since I've been diagnosed, and well before that, they've been telling us there are 400,000 people in the United States who are diagnosed with this disease. Last year, at the end of the year, they said, oops, we updated the numbers. It's actually closer to 1 million people. And so, as we go through this, research is happening. We're trying to get better with the treatments. We're trying to find a cure. So if you can take the time, if you don't have money to donate your time, donate your services, get involved in the process, and please learn something about the disease.
You tell them that, you're going to get the money. No, I'm really. I mean, I'm serious. Say, I'll take your time. Oh, you know what? Who do I make the check out to?
Well,
Whatever it takes to continue the fight.
Absolutely.
To fuel the fight, to go the distance.
And I'm just grateful for the people who have been involved. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were at a show in Napa.
Yeah.
And Max Griffin was there, and so we took some gloves.
Max Payne Griffin.
He was, and he went inside the cage, and we did an auction, and the winner would get to take pictures with him. He would autograph the gloves to them right then.
Looks like Albie Shore a little bit. Don't he a little bit?
Hey, you're talking about my era now. Look
Oh,
out.
okay, shoot. That's right, Albie.
Yes, but he was amazing, and those gloves went for $1,000. It was the experience.
Wow. Okay.
We had two people going back and forth, and the two guys didn't actually like each other, so they were trying to outbid each other, and it was great for MS.
There you go. There you
go. It was
go.
great for MS. So just get involved, be supportive, and then give your energy. Right? So we were talking about Uriah Faber a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Saturday night, if you're sitting there, when they just started playing his music, the energy that was in that place was I could feel the energy. It wasn't just that I watched it, right? I'm sitting in that arena, and I could feel it. And you do feel that. And people with MS, when you are energetic towards us, we can actually use that energy for us. So do that. The people that are in your life, right?
Yeah.
Be open to it, so they will have conversations with you, and give that energy.
There you go.
Give the money too, because we are trying to
well,
find a cure.
exactly. We are trying to find a cure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you can always see what I'm doing with WALK at tapoutms.org.
Well, I like that.
Yeah, that's my thing. It's
there you
MMA
go.
related. I'm always
there you
bringing
go.
the fight game to
well,
whatever
I know Co Escovedo's going to help out. Anything MMA related and positive. And Co, I was telling her, man, if there's anything ever in the future that we know and that we can go do and the Fighter's Voice can be a part of, or give them a platform, give them an answer, fundraising, whatever it is, man, we're in, my man.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the whole point of being a community.
Exactly. Co, what do you want to leave us with, my man?
Not much, man. I'm down in San Diego loving Comic-Con right now. I do have a story for you guys, though. I got a funny story for you guys.
Let me hear it.
I almost ended up in Mexico today.
Oh my gosh. You're following your senorita around?
We got on a bus that I told me and the kids to get on and said, we're going to go test out the Comic-Con run. We're going to use the trolley system. We're going to use the trains. We're going to see if we can figure it out. Well, I put us on a bus that just kept going. And I started to realize, I was like, shit, we're on the wrong bus. By the time I realized that, I was looking at the map going, dude, we're getting dangerously close to the border. Like, this bus was just going to keep on going into Tijuana. And I was
not even stop.
We just got off the bus in the middle of nowhere and, had to get another bus back into San Diego. It was ridiculous.
That bus was the coal train, right?
There was the coal train to Mexico is what we were on.
There you go, man. Hey,
but
man.
Other than that, man, just like I said, guys, I've got some other things that we can talk about when I get back into town. Some things I'm doing, but
Look
right
forward
now
to
it's just keep checking the YouTube channels, guys. Keep checking the Fighters page, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all of that. Tell your friends, share it, like it, watch it, support it. The more people that share, everyone that brings a friend, we'll just keep growing. And before we know it,
Exactly.
we'll have more friends than we know what to do with.
Exactly. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your time. Appreciate our guest, Yvette Briscoe, came all the way from Merced, California.
209.
Yes, keeping it real, 209. Madera used to be part of the 209 back in the day. Originally 209. Yes, you do.
Remember.
Yes, you do. I still remember my first phone number, 209-673-1816. Ever, period. Ever. It never goes away. In my pager, 660-7058. I had a pager.
Remember my pager numbers.
I do, man. I don't know where that came from. Next Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be on location, Selma, California. Big Al Promotions, my man. We're going to make it happen. Make it happen. And we're going to be on site, Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy in Selma, California. Myself and Carol, the Cut Woman, Danny Valdivia will be there, Isidro Ochoa will be there, and everybody that's participating in Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy. And then Wednesday in studio, we got Albert Gonzalez, the big bulldog himself, the 5'9" assassin, the bloody mess, who puts everybody to the test. When he comes to fight, man, there's always blood around. There really is. I mean, it's either him, his opponent, or they both dance in his blood. He puts on an event every single time.
And it gets on my paperwork.
Oh, it gets on her paperwork.
I'm just saying.
Yes, it does. It does. Hey, yours truly, tomorrow will be boarding on a plane, going down to Las Vegas, MGM Grand, going to go meet with Sean, going to go meet with Mike. Love to meet with Freddie. I know he's going to be busy. And of course, I would love to get that soundbite with the senator himself and say hello to Marie when we're there and wish me well, because I got to go over there with the rest of the millions of people that want to see the event. Manny Pacquiao taking on one-time Keith Thurman, and Mike Rodriguez said it best, the Cutman, last night. He said, that's one-time Keith Thurman, Manny Pacquiao. That's full-time, all-time, the best time, the only time. Manny Pacquiao, the senator. So I want to thank all you guys. Wish us well. And as always, I dedicate every show, every breath that I take, everything that comes out of my mouth. Thumbs up for Richie, and it's a wrap.
Thumbs up.
Okay, fight fans, it's not goodbye, but until next week. Remember,
It's always voiceography at its finest. So on behalf of Richard Ortiz, Cole Escovedo, the special guests, and all the crew right here at the Kick-Ass Podcast, saying hasta luego, babies. And always, thanks for listening.